That's what it says. Good evening, everyone. It's Thursday
Evening.
evening. What a wonderful way to end a beautiful day. I don't know if any of you felt just the love and the energy in the air today, but I felt it. I was out on the road. I actually went to Gail's and got some love from her, a nice little massage. And so anyway, yeah, we're here this evening with Jane Burning, who I just
Mhm.
love. And my friend Sherry, who I love too. And
Aw.
this is a really nice evening for everyone joining us. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. I'm really excited for this evening just because I've
Mhm.
experienced working with Jane and doing, personal work and meditations that she offered all last year, which were so beautiful. I think you can still find them if you creep back far enough on our Facebook page. They'll be there. So welcome, Jane,
Mhm.
Sherry. Sherry, if you want to say hello.
Yeah, just the same as Jody. Like, just so lovely to have you, and just a beautiful day today with the sun shining. And went for a walk and connected to Mother Earth for about 2 hours, and had and did some personal work with Jane as well, and that really helped me get over some of my anger that I was carrying as well. So I really want to thank you for that as well, Jane, and just love you to pieces. And so wonderful that we've intersected in each other's life, and so it's beautiful, and we're so honored that you're here to spend some time with us.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for inviting me and for sharing your space here with me with Grandmother's Voice. I'm honored to be here once again. And we'll go, I guess, maybe an hour and a half or so, and then we'll use the half hour for questions. If you have questions, you can put it in the chat, I believe, and Jody or Sherry will get it to me to answer. Yeah. So, shall we start? Take it away. So I'm going to start a little different tonight because I'm different. I'm a Seneca woman of the Bear Clan from Six Nations, and my territory is from the Allegheny Mountains. That's where my matriarch comes from. And so some people call me a traditional healer, and I've wondered why people call me a traditional healer, because in our culture, we have our ceremonies and we have our doctors that are so much more different than what I do. And so when people refer to me as a traditional healer, I just kind of take that with a grain of salt and just think, okay, that's really not who I am or who I see myself, because that belongs, in my opinion, belongs to the ceremonial aspect of my own healing. But what I do know is that I'm a traditional woman that has grown up in the Longhouse, who has attended ceremony through most of my life, has received my traditional Ongohowe name in ceremony, have been stood up as a faith keeper in our Longhouse. And I know that aspect of me, if you want to call me a traditional person. The other aspect of me is a spiritual being that can hear and feel vibrations, sometimes direct messages from spirit. And I remember saying to my mother one time that I'm more than a faith keeper. I'm more than that. And I know that in that moment, she was a little bit taken back by that because of our traditions and the way we grew up, that it was such a huge part of our life. And I explained to her that being in ceremony and attending our longhouse is a part of who I am. Even if I am a faith keeper in the longhouse, that is a part of who I am. Because I know that each and every one of us have come here to this place, this earth, with many, many gifts. And there are aspects of us that are maybe more awakened than other people. And maybe we put more energy into that awakening than other people. Or maybe we understand it in a whole different way than other people, than some people. So when I told my mother that even though I am this in the longhouse and people see me this way, that I am so much more than that. Because what I became aware of in my healing journey, and is so sometimes it's difficult to talk about this part, because I know there are some people who would take that title of a traditional healer and run with it. And they will own that as this is who they are. I am a healer. And when I think about that, I think about all the work that it has taken for me to see, hear, understand, feel spirit. It has taken work. Some people, it comes like that. And maybe they're clear audio, they can hear all these messages so clearly from spirit. However, what I've come to understand is that if that person does not do the emotional trauma work, the messages that are delivered to other people have a bit of distorted energy attached to it. And the more clear that that person is of their own traumas and their own issues, the more clear those messages are going to be to the person that is receiving the messages. And so when I say it's taken a lot of work for me to get to where I am, I am so very grateful for the help that I have received to get to where I am. And the help that I've received a lot of times has not been human. It has been through spirit, and receiving these guidances and these messages and these awakenings has been primarily through spirit. But I've had to go through my own traumas. I've had to go through my own darkness in order to be able to deliver the messages that I deliver to people. And I wouldn't even say that I'm a reader. I don't call myself a reader because I don't work in that way. There are many, many gifts that people have. And that is not, I don't say that's what I am. When I began my healing journey, I knew that my life was going to be different because of, at that point in my life, I wanted something more. And spirit led me to a place where I found myself curled up in a back seat of a car, full of terror, unable to move, unable to get out of the car because I felt like I had no skin. I felt like everything that I had been through in my life was now being exposed. And I had so much terror. And for the first time in my life, I was 25 years old at that time. And when I think about it now, I think, wow, I was only 25. And when this happened to me, this is the first time in my life that I was asking Creator to show me how to live. Show me how to live clean and sober, because addiction had been a part of my life now. And prior to that, I remember in my childhood that there were so many times, because of my grief, because of abuse that I had been through, that I wanted to die. And so many times I would find myself praying to Creator just to take me home, because I didn't want to live and I didn't want to be here. So that day when that happened to me, when I found myself in the backseat of my car, unable to move, I started to pray. And I started to ask Creator, I want you to show me how to live. Show me how I want to live. Because I was so afraid that I was dying. Here my whole life I was thinking that I want to die. Now here it is, I have this huge, terror that I'm dying, and I'm begging Creator now to show me how to live. And so my life never was the same from that point on. And some people, other helpers, they refer to it as the dark night of the soul. And a lot of light workers will talk about this dark night of the soul. And it's like we have to go through our own deepest, darkest fears in order to recognize and know the light that we are. And up to this point, I had no idea what living was like. I had no idea what it meant to love myself. I had no idea. And so I stayed in this place for 3 months. I stayed in this place, feeling like I had no skin. I couldn't come out of my home. I couldn't drive my car. I couldn't walk even outside of my home by myself. It felt almost like I had to relearn everything over again. And at this point, I have a child. I have my daughter who's 2 years old. And I say to her, I'm on the couch, and I say to her, can you take mommy by the hand? And can you walk me to the washroom? And she's only 2 years old. And I'm so afraid of everything. And so at that point in my life, I thrived to live. I needed to live. For this little girl, I needed to live. For myself, I needed to live. Life began for me that day. It really did. And trauma does a lot to our minds, to our brains. It distorts our perception of ourselves, our perception of others, and our perception of the world. And over time, if we've had a multitude of traumas, not to mention our intergenerational trauma that we carry, over time, it's like no longer do we see through the eyes of our soul, but we see through the eyes of our pain. And our pain is so distorted because it's dark, it's heavy, it's painful. And we think that this is the truth of who we are. Because when we begin to have these experiences of trauma, these experiences of these wounds in childhood, our brain then holds on to those limiting beliefs that we have formed in our mind in that trauma response, in that fight, flight, or freeze. And our brains will hold on to those beliefs and will absolutely think that they are true. The way that our brain is trapped in this fight, flight, or freeze, it leads us to believe, that I'm not important. I don't matter. Others don't love me. And this world is a very scary and unsafe place. We create these limiting beliefs about those events, and they stay stored in our brain. And because they're so ingrained into us, we then create these neural pathways in our brain that every time now as an adult, if we get triggered, we have an emotional response to something similar from back there, it just hops right onto that neural pathway and keeps telling us, yeah, you're not important. You're not lovable. Nobody loves you. The world is scary and unsafe, because we've heard it over and over and over again in our minds. And when we begin to do that in our minds, what starts to happen is that the body starts to retain those beliefs and those memories. And so the cells in our body now become distorted. When we're born and we are 100% energy before we have a body, our soul is the part of us that has what I call the absolute truth. Our soul is the part that carries the information from the other realm. It's the part of us that brings the bundle, the sacred bundle from our council. And our council is so wise that it knows what we need while we're here on earth. Our council is aware of these lessons and agreements that we have made with Creator. Therefore, our council knows exactly what to put into that bundle that we will bring with us from that place of purity as we enter into our body. So everybody knows that we have a body. And we have our soul, we have our spirit, and we have our mind. And as this body is growing in the womb and is getting larger and larger through the 40 weeks of gestation, our soul is with the council, receiving all the information that we need to fulfill the lessons. But the body that is growing in your mother's womb only knows the vibration of what it is picking up on here in this earthly place. It knows the vibration of what your mother is going through, what your father is going through, what your siblings are going through, what is in the environment while you are in the womb. That is what you know. And because Earth is already a low vibration, then when you pick up on the unresolved emotions or unresolved wounds that your parents carry or your grandparents carry or your ancestors carry, that's what you feel when you are growing in the womb. It isn't until the soul comes into the body that you begin to know the vibration of light. And the vibration of light is so much greater than any darkness here on earth. And I say that because we were 100% energy when we were soul. And in order to take this form, this body, we had to lower our vibration only by 2%. 2% is this mass, this form that we are in, only 2%. 98% is still energy. That's why we are light beings in this form. And so right from the moment that we come here and that light, the absolute truth, that bundle comes into the form, it is already much more greater than any pain or any darkness that you have experienced already. But because of our mind that was there in the womb picking up on everything that it was feeling, it already started to think about ourselves, others in the world. It already started to think, my mother is depressed. My mother doesn't even want to be pregnant. And these other people, they're not going to care about me. And this world, I don't even know if I want to come to this world. I remember making those decisions in the womb. And so because I had those thoughts in my mind, the ego grabbed a hold of those thoughts and fed those thoughts to me while my soul was coming into the body, trying to persuade me not to embrace the light of the soul. And the ego is so, well, I think I remember when I first went and learned about this darkness, it's very, what they say in Alcoholics Anonymous, that it's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And that's what that reminded me of. That the ego can be like that. And how it'll say to you these negative, limiting beliefs so that you give your attention to the negativity, to, the limitations. But because the soul is so pure and it has so much love that it came with, that it even was able to say to the ego, I know you, and I know that you are the darkness. And it's okay that you're going to be here through this whole lifetime, because you play a role in her life, a very important role. And you are necessary to help her to awaken the truth of who she is. That your darkness will help her to awaken all the gifts that she is coming here with. The gifts that are here in the bundle. That you will do that for her. When she begins to see that she is so much more than the darkness. And so even in that moment, we know that we have everything that we need to get through life. We have everything that we need to get through the darkness, to get through the traumas, to get through the hurts and the wounds that we have gone through. We know that. Without a doubt, we know that. Or we wouldn't be here experiencing what we're experiencing. We wouldn't be alive right now if we didn't know that, because we had a choice, even in the womb, whether we were coming or not coming. And I chose to come, just like all of you have chose to come. For whatever reason, you decided that you wanted to be here. You decided that you wanted to be here through this world pandemic that we are in. You made that decision. Like many, many other decisions that you have made in your lifetime. And even in that place where we now recognize the power of the mind and the ego, we know the purity of the soul and the sacred bundle. We know this body as our home. That this vessel that we are entering into is our home. And our spirit, we know that our spirit is like our witness. And because of the experiences, the hurts, we needed a witness. We needed our spirit to be there with us as we go through these different events in our life. We've needed that. And there's been times when our spirit would even say, I can't see this. I can't witness this. And if those events have been so painful, then our spirit will step outside of our body, and it will stay there until we begin to do our work, our healing work. And healing really is about going back to get those parts of ourself that have stepped outside of our body, that could not be a witness to what we were enduring. And so in our healing, it is about bringing those parts home. It is about letting those parts know that I remember. That I remember my connection to Creator. I remember my connection to that sacred bundle, to that purity. I remember that Creator told me it's not about the darkness that you are going to experience, but it is about the awakening. And so, because it is about the awakening, and we are 100% energy before we come here, and yet we are, as a body, still 98% energy, then we are very much light beings. Very much. But our humanness does things the hard way. And we try to find the love, the compassion, the forgiveness, all those good things that are in that bundle. We try to find that outside of ourselves. And if we never received it when we are new and we come here, if we minimally had that, then we grow accustomed to looking outside of ourselves for that which we desire or what we need. We look outside of ourselves. Because as we move away from that birthing time, we begin to forget about the purity. And for most of us, our traumas happen from 0 to 7 because we're small and powerless and can't fight back. So as we move on that journey, we carry all these wounds with us into every doorway. Every 7 years, we enter into a doorway. So 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21. And if we had a multitude of traumas in those doorways, then there are fragmented parts of ourself that have fallen away from this wholeness that we came here with. But Creator says that the purity never goes away, that it is never not there inside of us, because nothing can take that bundle away from you. It can diminish, and the light can slowly begin to burn out within inside of yourself. And we can lose disconnection from Creator, or from what we know as, God or Creator or Buddha, whatever that source is. We can lose that connection. But even so, it is still inside of us. That sacredness, that purity, that bundle is still inside of us. But perhaps it's dormant, or our fire is so low that it's like embers in our body, instead of like a nice, bright, burning fire that's inside. Because as we move away from that birthing time and these traumas happen, they attach to us. And when they attach to us, it begins to change and distort the programming in the cells in our body. Because our cells in our body are programmed to those original teachings. I'm sure that a lot of people have heard that. You've probably heard that on this platform, and it's true. Our cells in our body have been programmed to this life. And if we are in a bad situation, we need to look at, okay, well, what did I do to create this? What am I hanging on to from back there that has allowed me to be here creating this? Because we are the creator of our life, both good and bad. And that was hard for me to swallow, because I thought, why would I do that? Why would I choose to have people like that in my life? Why would I choose to have that experience that has ripped out my heart, that has caused me to be, in this place of pain? Why would I do that? And it wasn't until I came inside and I began to make that connection to who I truly am that I started to remember. Starting to remember that Creator said that this light is brighter than any darkness, but that you will have to go through this darkness in order for you to truly know the light. And in that place, I cannot blame anyone anymore. I can't blame people for what they've done to me. I can't blame others for the hurt, the abandonment that they have caused me. Because I have to look at myself. And I have to look at, what was that about for me? What was meant to be awakened because I've had this experience? What really was that about? And that means that I have to stop being a victim. Because victims, they're full of fear. And I am a fear-based person. I can still go into that fear very easily. But today the difference is that I make a conscious decision not to stay there. I do the work to pull myself out of there. And sometimes it doesn't come, I don't come out instantaneously. But I do the work to bring myself out of that place. Victims will blame, shame, guilt people because of the hurt that they feel. They will become persecutors. They want to get even. They want to prove a point because it's unfair. If you do this to me, then I'm going to do this to you. Victims become martyrs. There's so many different things that we do in victim energy. And we all go there because we're all human. We still have this aspect of ourselves. We can all go there to this victim place. The difference, I guess, in your healing is recognizing that you have a choice. That you can stay here or you can move from this place. And when we move from this place, it isn't anything that anybody does for you. It isn't anything that anybody gives to you. Because people come and go all the time. But it is really about what you can do for yourself. And what you can awaken in your own darkness that you carry. And because we are human and we are having these human experiences, we have darkness. We have that darkness. And because we have that darkness, we suffer. We suffer until we find that light that is inside of us. And Spirit has said that there is an umbilical cord that is attached to our heart center. And this cord brings a life force into our body, into our being. Every time that we breathe, it brings this life force into our body. And it's like the belly button cord, but it's never severed. It never gets severed. And so this life force is just waiting for that opportunity for us to awaken. And we might find ourselves in those darkest times, like I described to you about my experience. We might find ourselves in jail. Maybe the ending of a marriage, the death of a loved one. Something so painful might trigger the knowingness of this connection. Because we're in such a place of pain and despair, we begin to reach out and we begin to seek something more than what we have. And that's when we start to remember that connection to the cord. We start to remember that there is something that we came here with that is going to get us through. And even an ounce of hope can move mountains, can begin to move the toxicity out of our bodies, can begin to heal those old wounds that we have, can begin to help us to have clarity, and can begin to allow us to see ourselves in totality, which means that we have to look at our own darkness. We have to look at the behaviors that we have created to make ourselves feel better, to make ourselves feel loved, worthy. We've created behaviors that the majority of the time have been self-defeating behaviors because we operate it from a place of unconsciousness. We operate it from the perspective of those stories. And we perceived ourselves, others, and the world from the pain body rather than from the soul. And so when we begin to take a look at ourselves, it really is like we are now going to experience this ego transcendence, as opposed to ego repression. Because in that place of ego repression, we're going to deny that we're angry. We're going to deny that we're revengeful, that we're jealous, that we blame, shame. We're going to deny those behaviors. Even though we're healing, we're going to deny those. So that really is called ego repression. Not until we expose the ego and the limitations that it has held onto in our minds do we begin to transcend that energy. And when we transcend that energy, it truly is a place where we can see that purity, where we know that I am responsible for the mess that I'm in if I find myself in a mess. And I am responsible for how good this feels. I'm responsible for the love that is here. We are responsible for the good and the bad and the ugly that is inside of us. And we all have that because we're human. Healing is a journey. And some people that I have worked with, they want to get through this like yesterday. And they want to plow through. And then I see them and they say, well, I dealt with that. I took care of that. And I just nod my head. Because I know from experience that it's time to do more. That there is more. I believe that our healing journey is a lifetime. Because every time that we heal, we change the vibration in our body. And our vibration gets higher and higher and more full of light. Until we truly are activating that 98% energy. And I remember asking Spirit, why do you make me go through these issues, one issue after another, after another, after another, like that? It feels like I just get done taking care of this, and there's something else. And Spirit said, well, now you know what enlightenment is. That is what enlightenment is. As you heal and you work through and you bring the light into your body, you are becoming enlightened. And when I got that message loud and clear, things started to settle down and I became aware, more aware, I guess, of what that was about. Like I said, healing is a journey. We still have all those doorways that we go into every 7 years. And it is supposed to awaken things in us, vibrations in us, as we heal from one doorway to the next doorway to help us into the next doorway. And when I was in my 7th doorway, this is when I received the teaching on the soul's journey. And Spirit said, this is going to be your most powerful doorway. And through a whole fasting experience, I was reborn back to my true mother, the earth. And I received the teachings on how our soul came from a higher dimension into a physical form. And that now is the foundation of my work. And for that whole 7 years of that 7th doorway, I had beautiful experiences of love, beautiful experiences of birthing, receiving my grandchildren. A lot of beautiful things came to me in that 7th doorway. And I spoke and shared about the soul and the purity and the love. The most amazing part, I think, was when I met my soul family, when I went to that higher realm. And the love that my soul family poured into my soul before I came into this body is like the most incredible, beautiful feeling that I have not experienced here on earth, but I can feel it within inside of myself. That was the best part of that experience. So that seventh doorway was all about that love. When I entered into the eighth doorway, almost right away, I was faced with death. Death upon death upon death upon death. Significant losses. Significant heartache. To the point where I really didn't know if I was going to make it out of this doorway because it was so heavy. And I asked Spirit, why? Why is this happening this way? Why am I having this experience of death over and over? And Spirit said, we have shown you the beauty in birthing, that now we must show you the beauty in dying. And when I received that message, and this was almost towards the end of my eighth doorway, that I started to change my thinking. And the more significant deaths closer to me, losing my mother, my uncle, my best friend, my stepdaughter, my nephew, all in a matter of a year. Each one of those deaths, I seen the beauty. They were beautiful. I opened myself up to want to see more. I opened myself up to want to see the beauty in death. And those experiences taught me so much about what we have inside of us. It taught me about how heaven and earth is even inside of us. It taught me about creation and how creation is here to hold the space for us to heal and to be more of what we think we are. It taught me that there is no time. And that I've always known this in my mind, that when our loved ones die, it's just their form that is no longer here. But I never had the experience of really feeling that and knowing it without a doubt. And so once I recognized what that eighth doorway was about, and Spirit said, you must learn to celebrate death the way that you celebrate birth. Because this is the same doorway. It is the same doorway. And when that baby comes here, you celebrate, you sing, and you welcome that life here. When your loved one dies, you celebrate and you sing. and we will welcome them here. And the experiences that I had with my family members dying, yes, they were painful. And yes, I grieved. But I learned that there's a difference between grieving and dying. That experience of them leaving their body was a celebration. And then I experienced the grief because I needed to, because I'm human. And grief is a part of healing. But we don't need to stay in the grief. We don't need to live in the grief. And before my mother died, I talked to her about my connection to the earth. I talked to her about the fasting that I experienced with the soul, and how when she dies, that I'll be okay, because I'll be here still with my mother. And that I know that she will hold me and comfort me and help me to heal. That I will have that with her. And I told my mother that I will be really sad when you leave, but I know that I will be okay. And I don't intend on grieving a lifetime. I don't intend on doing that. And she was very happy to hear that I seen that and I knew that. So that doorway between birthing and dying is the same doorway. And where we are at right now during this pandemic. Last year, I had this experience, a year ago now, where Spirit had showed me that the door is open, because there's so many people that are going to die. And the doorway will stay open. And that they will be received on the other side. That when this sickness comes, they didn't call it a sickness at that time. Not at that time. But when these people die, they will leave their bodies before their body dies. And so we are here, ready to receive them. And I had no idea, I had no warning. I just knew that this doorway is open. And I had no idea what that meant. I didn't even really know about this pandemic when it hit, because I don't watch the news. I still rarely watch the news. And so it was comforting to know that they were ready to receive. And where we are at right now in this pandemic that we are in, it's like a calling to our soul. And it is taking us to the darkest hidden places inside of us. It is bringing up issues that have been buried, suppressed, denied, repressed. It is allowing these emotions to come to the surface. And for some who have not had experiences of healing, emotional neglect, trauma, it might be overwhelming. Some may be getting further and further into their addictions. Some might be creating more and more unsafe, self-defeating behaviors. Mental health is suffering. Because it is getting us to go to those dark places within inside of ourselves that are yet to be healed. It is asking us to go to the origins of our wounds so that we can transcend them to a higher vibration. This time that we are in is something that we've agreed to. It is something that has never been here for centuries, but it is here now. For some reason, we made an agreement with Creator to be here during this time. And I really don't think that we would have made these agreements so that we could suffer, so that we would experience significant losses, witness the pain and the grief of loved ones dying. I don't think that's why we agreed to be here during a pandemic. But it's something more. And Norma General taught me this word in Gayakono, Cuga language, and Asiskowane. And when I went to the place where I met Creator in my soul, in order for me to get into that place, I had to have a password. And I kind of thought, like, what are you talking about? I need to have a password. But then I remembered that word, Asiskowane. And I said that to this big Ongohonwe man that was standing there. And when I said that word, everything opened up. And that's when I was invited in and greeted by my soul family. But that word, Asiskowane, that means to see the bigger picture. to recognize and to know that you are more than these experiences, that you are more than the trauma that you have endured, that you are more than these limiting beliefs that your ego has fed to you. And those of you who are on your healing journey, you know what I'm talking about. You know what it's like to be able to come to a place where you could say, if I never went through that, I would never be the person that I am. If I never had that happen in my life, I never found my way to forgiveness, I wouldn't know the power of this forgiveness. If I never experienced that darkness, I would never know the vibration of this light that is inside of me. Those of you that have worked through your pain, you know what I'm talking about. You know that you are the light. You know that you have the most purest love inside of you, not outside of you. You know without a doubt that you picked the perfect mother and father to awaken this light that is inside of you. Because Asiskuwan, because you can see the bigger picture. Because you've come to see who you truly are. Because you've heard your soul, the calling, and you've awakened that bundle that your counsel made for you inside of yourself. It's a choice that we make. Not everybody will awaken. Not everybody will hear the calling. Not everybody will be open to receiving. But it is available for everyone. That is a part of the agreements, that it is available for all of us. And so on February 25th, 2021, we are here. We are here, maybe in isolation, maybe working from our homes, maybe without our partners, maybe without our children or our parents. However your life is right now, you're in this place for a reason. It's a good time for us to go inside and to see what we have to sustain our life. It's a good time for us to go in to recover what is rightfully ours, what is authentically ours. Again, it's a choice that we make. Whether we want to live our life from the place of victim or from the place of the absolute truth. But it is work. It is work to become conscious. It is work. And I can't speak about this stuff. I guess I could. Maybe I could, but that's not who I am. I can't speak about this stuff if I don't do my work. It has been hard being home 24/7 with my 3 adult children. I've had to work through my stuff. I've had to take a look at me. I've had to become more conscious, more present, more aware. This calling is across the planet. It has hit the entire planet. And when we on the planet awaken to this calling and begin to heal and change the vibration inside of ourselves, that is what is allowing our mother to heal. Our mother is evolving, transforming. All the light that we are awakening is helping her to get through what she needs to get through in the most loving way. Because she too has heard the calling. And we have received so much from her. It's time now for us to do the work so that we can give back to her, so that we can help her to transform. We can do that. We came here to do that. So I am going to open up the floor for questions. And I'll invite Jody and Sherry to come back and join me. And something may come up as we're talking, but this is where I'm going to just see where we're at.
You are a rock star. Amazing. I've been doing a lot of this work for a long time. Well, out of my life anyway, more than half of my life. I'm 29. No, I'm just kidding. You've got to be one of the most amazing women and influencers in my life. You took me, and I like to think that I've had thank you to all of the other people that have helped me shift and change and heal myself. But you resonate, and there's so many people here that have just commented, and I can't wait to share the messages with you. But for everything, Jane.
Thank you,
Everything
Jody.
you are, and what you've done for me and my family. Because as much as they're in the background saying you're working again, and I'm like, I'm working at being a better mom. Sherry?
Yes.
No, I was sitting here as well, and just kind of like, you know, just taking back to, you know, learning an awful lot about ourselves, and really taking that time to really dig in and dig deep, and, you know, to really deal with our traumas, because this is the time, right? You said that quite often. This is the time. And, you know, there is some questions. There's a lot of comments that people were so grateful that they had this time to spend with you during this darkest time too, during this pandemic and being alone. And a lot of beautiful words, and you've uplifted certainly an awful lot of people. But there's one question here that somebody wants to know if you can speak more about the council and the sacred bundle.
Okay. So the council, pretty much the whole time that the fetus is growing in the womb, 38 to 40 weeks, your soul is with your council. The body that grows in the womb is the form. And what Spirit has said is that the soul does not come into the body until 4 to 10 days before you're born. So the whole time that your soul is in that higher vibration, you sit with these ancestors, these knowledge keepers. And it's not indigenous to us. It is soul work. Every race, every human being has a council. And this council will gift us different resources, different knowledge, different gifts to put into this bundle, because they know what our lessons entail. They know what our experiences are going to be here on earth. And nobody ever told us this is the way it's going to be. We made these agreements with Creator. Nobody said you're going to go there and you're going to have this experience and this will be your darkest days. No, we made these agreements. And because of that, the council knew exactly what to put into your bundle to sustain your life while you're here. Yeah.
I love it. Sorry, I was trying to find my mouse without leaving the screen. I'm sorry. This is just me. I'm in a Jane trance. I'm not gonna. I try not to make laughing jokes and whatever, but I just when I'm just so happy. This is so beautiful. Roz says, "Beautiful journey you've taken us on, Jane. Thank you. Feel so blessed to be here in this sacred space." And yeah, they're just beautiful messages. This time is a gift. Thank you for this reminder. And you know that one of the workshops that we did, because I did start my time with you doing meditations, I think, and then we ended up doing, maybe it was, yeah, I think it was the other way around. Well, whatever it was, I felt like I spent all of last year with you, and I really, it resonated with me, the way that you spoke and explained our life and our purpose, and it just was, I understood what it meant when you said the things you said. It resonated in my soul and spirit. So I'm so happy that that people have joined us, because that's what this Awaken the Medicines Within is all about. You know, we spoke to the members and the people that we do this work with, and every single one, like, the same message was, if you know, let's just share this message, share what we know to heal, so that people can do their work to enjoy this time that we're here. So I'm really grateful. Sherry, did you notice any other questions here?
Beautiful comments, and you know, just even to the point as well that, you know, we're all a gift. My daughter's making dinner in the background. You know, but we're all a gift, and we're a gift to creation and Creator. and that we need to remember that. We need to remember it in our hearts that we're a gift, and we're so hard on ourselves. You know, and that's what I'm taking away from right now is like, you know, we are a gift, and just the very fact that we're on this planet is a miracle as well. And that's what Dr. Mike Dockstader says every other Friday, you know, when he's with us. You know, that we're a miracle that we're here, considering how fast the Earth spins around the universe, and you know, things like that. And to know that we were cared for with our counsel before we even came here, which puts even more love in my heart, you know, that, and it's just so, yes, it's just absolutely so beautiful, full of love. And, you know, I was saying to Jody in the back room there, I said, I think we need to have a, you know, session 2 with Jane.
Oh yeah, you can never get enough of Jane. I think there's a song out there about you somewhere, Jane. Several. Bruno actually mentioned, thank you so much, Jane. I went to another place and seen many people when you spoke. Realized I'm here at the right time and for the right reasons. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Bruno.
And actually here, let me show them. I forgot I could do this. So that was Bruno's. This technology stuff, it's getting kind of easy now. And Karen, at this time, I've learned to be still, quiet, and listen to my soul, to be with my spirit. It's beautiful, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, you know, and we are, I mean, there's just so much that's happening right now, so much shift that's happening. You really, I feel, you know, the energy of people. I still sometimes, you know, I'm out there and I see some people that now with the masks on, they like, I'm shopping and they're like, you know, they just stare at you like you need to move out of the way. Nobody speaks as much, you know, like it's, you know, but then there's a big majority that are being, you know, loving, like somebody. And maybe it's the energy that I give off, because like I was pumping the gas yesterday and some guy went out of his way to come over and, you know, and just say, hi, how are you? I was like, oh, I'm so good, pumping my gas, you know, like, this is so nice. Who are you? I don't know, but this is so, I mean, I think there's this shift, and I feel it, you know, I feel it. And so what we're doing right now is really important, and we just are really grateful that everyone has you know, shown up here. And Jane's coming back next week, I think. Or is it next week or the week after? Do you remember? Oh yeah, I think it's next week, the 4th. I'll have
I'm
to
not
check
sure.
that, but I know, it's not lovely. That's when you know someone's living with spirit. I'm following spirit every day. You know, when you live in a house that's, you know, that accepts that, you're so lucky, right? You know, it's taken my family 20 years, but anyway, there's some really great messages here. And Paula, I love you. I know you're watching right now. And Paula Langhair, Jane, and she's got some beautiful messages for you. And I know
that's nice.
Yeah, you know what I'm really enjoying is I might as well just take this time, because we still have a half an hour, Jane, but you know, we don't have to stay on that long. But I feel like it's really important to talk, like, you know, in communities, because we're having challenges in our own community right now. Sherry and I, we live on separate sides of our community, and I think that it's just in many communities, really, you know, it's like living in your house, you know, and I think we're all experiencing this right now. We're in our house, and the reflection of in what you're doing in your house is sometimes it's kind of hard, because I'm like, am I like this outside of the house? And how does that, you know, understanding, and that our communities are all now, I think, waking up to the value of who's in their community. Like, I'm waking up to the value of my kids and having their own voice, and my husband telling me, you know, maybe I'm not paying attention or whatever that is. And it's like this, Sherry, we had this conversation about the pretendians, or whatever that word is, right? And I feel like, yeah, there's that time now that there's no more pretending, right? The Donald Trump stuff's gone. Everybody's come to the surface. It's time to clear it up. And now it's time to be real. So I feel like we are really, that's how I analyze the whole time right now. It's time to just really be who you want to be. And
Mhm.
people have more grace, there's, so anyway, look at all the stuff you brought up for me tonight, Jane.
Grace and ease, Jody.
Can they go together? Oh, they are together. Sally says, I wish others were able to be present to hear these messages, but maybe they're not ready. You're right. But we're going to keep this on our YouTube channel for another week. So please, Sally, share away on your Facebook or your platforms. And Erica is saying, thank you, Jane. Grateful for the reminders and always time well spent with you. You have a
Oh,
lot of
thank
followers,
you.
Jane.
That's nice.
In the last couple of days, I've been learning about how trauma affects you in the womb, and it's that
Nice.
that just like I think that really shifts a lot of understanding for people that it can get that deep. I don't think that we really talk about that stuff. That's the hardcore thing, is that we were never taught this growing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we're all like trying to figure out, like, process where we came from.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think, Jody, that whole part about my parents, I remember coming out of a fast before, and I walked up this little knoll, and it was like an opening, and the sun was shining down into these in through the trees, and it was shining right on me. And as I stood there and I felt that sun on me, I thought, in that moment I had the realization that my parents had enough faith in me to raise myself. And that for me was like a 190, because, I have spent so much time in my addictions blaming my parents for what they didn't give to me, what they couldn't give to me, and how they hurt me in many different ways. But in that moment, coming out of that fast and hearing that message, they had enough faith in you that you could raise yourself. I thought, wow, it truly is, real that we have and we come here with everything that we need inside of us. It's just that our parents forgot and their parents forgot. But once this generation, heals and hears that calling, then we tell our kids and we tell our grandkids, you have everything you need inside of you. All the love you're looking for is right there inside of you. All the faith you need and the courage, it's all right there. Anytime you need it, you just go inside and awaken it and become it. And that's really what it's about, is us really stepping into that power of who we are. And yeah, we're human. We're not, I don't think, I have not met a totally angelic person, but we are human. Oh, except for you, Jody. But we're human beings, and we have to, this is what being conscious is about. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm choosing not to be a victim. I'm choosing to be connected. And if I'm connected, then I can awaken all of this trust that I need right here inside of me. And then we flood our body, we flood our cells with that vibration, because all of those gifts that are in the bundle, they have a vibration. And so we flood our whole being with the vibration of whatever it is that we need. And when we do that, we change the vibration of the cells in our body that have held on to those traumas and those stories that are of a lower vibration.
You read that?
Absolutely. Yes, Paula, so true. So very true. You know, I that reminds me of this other thing, is that I was always afraid to be strong, because people would say to me, "Oh, you're such a strong woman. You've been through so much. You're such a strong woman." And I started to get a little bit upset about that. And I thought, "Holy man, like, you mean I got to go through all this stuff to, be told I'm a strong woman?" And then I thought about the women in my family. And in my lineage of women, they are very strong, but they're also abusive. And so there was that abusive power in that strength. And that's what I grew up with. And that's what I took into my marriage as well. And so when people would say that to me, "You're very strong," I had a negative attachment to that. And when I went to Peru a couple years ago, and I sat there with my mother, praying, opening up on the mountaintop, she said, "I am strong. And I am so beautiful. That strength is beautiful." And I felt that, because no matter where I was, here in Canada, in Ontario, on this earth, or on those rocks, I could feel her strength and I could feel her beauty. And that's when I allowed myself to really know that it's beautiful to be strong.
Mm. I just relaxed my cheeks because I'm like, my cheek, I just can't, like, you just, I hope y'all are loving this as much as I am. And I just can't help the joy that I feel. And I think it's because I understand it, and I'm practicing it in my life the best that I can. And everything that I've been shared and taught and been nurtured by the people that have been in my life, to guide me this way. I just feel like, okay, like, and it's okay when I mess up, and it's, I'm just doing the best that I can right now. That's, and I feel like a little kid. Jane, you're awesome. Wendy says it too.
That's nice. Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, I've lost track here. There's some really beautiful messages on my end, and I don't have my glasses on. And, if I've missed anyone's message, I'm so sorry. Jane, you can visit them after on our stream. And, I don't want to keep you if I don't have to. Everyone's saying thank you. And I'm just so grateful that I met you, and I creeped you and followed you and harassed you.
Talk to me.
Stalked you. It was like,
She
get
does
her,
that.
get her, get her.
Yeah, Sherry.
I gotta tell you, it's, I haven't really told my journey, and I think that it's just, I guess there's going to be the right time, where I get to tell my beginning to end, but my cycle is coming. I don't want to say it's coming to an end, but my journey, I'm feeling a little teary-eyed right now, but my journey started, since we have a couple minutes, several years ago, and I met Renee, and I knew that my family was from Six Nations, and it was just such an amazing feeling to feel and hear when I walked in to Gail's space, and the words I heard was, "You made it. You're here, you're home." And it wasn't mine. It was mine, but I knew, and I felt, I could smell my father and my grandmothers. They were there. They were all there. And it's not easy showing up in somebody else's community and saying, "Hey, I'm your family." Like, "Hey, I'm here. Move over." And I had met some other people, Chandra, and I hope that people don't mind that I'm mentioning their names, and Paula, I met in my community, and so the work that I'm doing with Sherry now, because I stalked her too, and I kind of stalked Paula and everybody to say, like, I'm hearing these. I'm supposed to gather the people. That's what I was told to do. I was told I was to gather the people with the wisdom that are healing, that are told to heal the people, to share it and to do it. And it's not easy. This is not easy, standing in my space, who I am, to be able to, knock down these doors. But I'm so appreciative that this space is here for these people to be able to say, wow, you awoken my spirit. You taught me something. You reminded me. And then, because this is a really important time, it's like being in that portal, being in that time that that you can do this. And if we're doing this, it's the time to do it. It's time to do it. And so we need to do this, and we need to keep sharing. And Paula, thanks. Paula's supporting me. This is what she said. You reached out energetically. Yeah, I did.
And I think
Anyway,
that's what it's all about too, right? Is keep on reaching out, talking to people, making sure that your loved ones are okay. But also, if people are not, what would be your words of wisdom right now, Jane, when people are trying to maybe find their way, but they may not be able to afford certain sessions or anything like that? What can they do when on their own self-healing journey?
I think one of the things that helped me the most is to go outside, to go to the earth, to make a fire, to sit with your tobacco, put your prayers in the fire and speak. Just begin to speak, because all the trees and the sun and the snow, the earth, they will all hear you. And if you're quiet enough, they will speak back to you. And that is free. That is all free. And that has been my biggest lifesaver from 5 years old to now.
you know what? That's
Yeah, thanks.
exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
That small moment of silence I gave myself 20 years ago was exactly that, Jane. I stood on a mountaintop too, and the sun came down, and I surrendered and said, tell me, because I feel it. And this is where I am today, being able to share these dreams and love and relationships with women and men, people that are just wanting to move forward in love. And I feel like this is where we can actually say love, and an open forum and space, and people, are okay with it now. And it
Yeah.
wasn't, right? There's a long time that it was weird for people to say love.
Or
You
spirit.
Or spirit. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I know. My husband's just starting to stop, not call me a witch anymore. Anyway, this has been so much fun. Ellie, thank you. Love that. Silence, solitude. Yes, it's so amazing. We're going to share that. I'm going to share that message. I think, Jane, if you don't mind me taking that and sharing that for this evening, and yeah. Love you, ladies.
Yes.
I love
Thank
you
you
too.
again. Love you.
We'll see you soon.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
Good night.